Greetings, YouTube. So, today we are back with the second Mass Effect character tier list. This is an update from the first Mass Effect character tier list that we did, and we're updating it because, hey, if you haven't noticed, we beat Mass Effect 2, and so now we got a bunch of other characters to add. I believe it's 20. I think we are adding 20 new characters to the list, and we're going to see where exactly they rank amongst everybody else. Because, see, here's the thing. We're combining the tier list. So, characters from Mass Effect 1, characters from Mass Effect 2, they're going to be battling it out. We're going to see who ends up where and how this tier list is going to shake down, how it's going to be looking. Because, there's only so much room in my heart in S tier. And so we'll see, are people going to get kicked out? Are people going to move up? Who knows? Because we're also, characters returning in Mass Effect 2 that were in Mass Effect 1, they also get a bump up. So, or bump down. Who knows? We'll see. But without further ado, yeah, we're going to hop on into it and start ranking some characters. Alright, so first off, right away, we can see where we had characters ranked last time. So, just a quick little recap going on. But we had, oh man, we had Garrus, Joker, Saren, and Tali as S tier. A phenomenal S tier, if you ask me. In A tier, we had our buddy, our pal, kind of our confidant, our teacher, Captain Anderson. And, there's a reason we picked him for the counselor position. And then we have Saren, also in A tier, because, or sorry, Saren was in S tier. Sovreign, he is the one who is in A tier, because I just didn't think he was quite as good of a bad guy. Saren, definitely the face. Sovreign, the behind-the-scenes guy. And then we had Dr. Chokwus, all by her lonesome in B tier. Maybe she'll get some company here. We had Matriarch Benezia, accompanied by her daughter Liara in C tier, much to many of your chagrins. But, who knows? She got some screen time in Mass Effect 2, so we'll see where exactly she moves around to, or if she stays the same. I'm not going to spoil all that yet, come on. And then we have Caden and Rex in D tier, which a lot of people were angry about Wrex too. So we'll see if Rex moves up, if he stays where he's at. But, yeah. And then we have this one. I'll spoil it right here, chat. It's not changing. Ashley, the council, and Counselor Udina, they're all staying in F tier. They suck. They're staying there. That's end of the story. So now we hop in and we look at these characters, right? And we see, is anybody going to move? And I'm immediately going to tell you, S tier, it's going to stay the same. I think that Garrus, Joker, Saren, and Tali stay exactly where they are. If anything, Saren gets bumped even farther up just because of the bad guys in Mass Effect 2. Like, Mass Effect 2, really great game. Absolutely love it. Think that it's probably my favorite in the trilogy. We'll see. I haven't played 3 yet. But its one struggle is the fact that it doesn't really have, like, a face of a bad guy. Like, you kind of have the head collector, but I don't know. I wouldn't really call them, like, a great face bad guy. So I feel like Saren, very comfortable in sitting in that S tier right now. I think that, we look at A tier. I don't have any movements there. Dr. Chakwas, I love her so much. I think she's a fun character. She's a great crew member. But I feel like she doesn't really get anything super extra. Like, you get the little scene of, getting her brandy and that kind of thing. But I still would kind of say, she stays where she is a B tier. I love her, very fond of her, but she's going to stay there. Matriarch Benezia, obviously, she's not going to be moving around any. She's staying in C tier. However, guys, I know, a lot of you love Liara. And here's the thing, is I know, because I have played the games, and it's been a while, but I know that I like Liara as the games go. And honestly, I wasn't expecting her to move up so early, because here's the thing, is like, when I played through these games, I have never played the Shadow Broker DLC before. So this was the first time playing the Shadow Broker DLC. And it's a completely different Liara that we see. You know, like, in Mass Effect 2, she is ruthless, she is cunning, she is a brilliant, smart character who is more than just a love interest. Like, they actually wrote a character for her this time. And it's shocking, I know, but now that she has a character, she's actually a cool character. And so I feel very comfortable in bumping her from the C tier up to A tier. Because here's the thing, she went from just being the resident simp, the love interest, the like, just throw herself at you, to she saves your life. And you find this out like behind the scenes, you know, like she was one of the ones who like found your body and gave you to Cerberus and this kind of thing. But on top of that, she gets the opportunity to take out the network of the Shadow Broker. And she decides, I could do better. I'm going to run this shit myself. And you know what? That shit's ruthless, and I love her for it, because that's something that Liara from Mass Effect 1 would never have done. She never would have considered it. But in Mass Effect 2, they actually gave her some really cool stuff to do. And because of that, she moves up to A tier for me. I think that it almost feels like a completely different character from the character we had in Mass Effect 1. So yeah, she moves up to A tier. We hop down. Caden, it's hard because he gets the role of, you know, the human that is all jaded that you're working with Cerberus. So I don't really think he gets much to work with. And then we hit Wrex. And Wrex behind the scenes has turned into a badass. He's gone back to Tuchanka, and he has taken this place over. He is like pulling people under his banner. He's uniting the clans. Dude was like, oh, Shepard died. I'm gonna go become a goddamn leader. And his like arc of just like going from, oh, you know, I'm just a mercenary for hire, you know, like I'm fighting, that kind of thing. Like, he gives you the really cool, like, Krogan history and that kind of stuff in the first game. But in this one, like, you come back and the dude is just like, oh, yeah, I kind of run this place now. Like, absolute legend. Super badass character in the second game. And, like, I felt like in the first game, he was a cool, badass character. But, like, it was kind of one of those that it's like, you know, you're just kind of a mercenary, that kind of thing. Whereas in this, like, the fact that he like actually did shit behind the scenes, and that's something I gotta give Mass Effect 2 credit for, is all the characters from Mass Effect 1 have been doing shit. It's not like you just died and they froze in time. Like, everybody was doing something. And so I say Wrex moves up to B tier. F tier, I already told you guys, is gonna remain the same. So yeah, that's precisely how it's going to be going. Oopsies. Wrong one. But yeah. So now we are looking at the new characters, right? So we're sitting here, and I've added a lot of side characters. I've added, you know, characters from DLC and that kind of thing to kind of make sure it's more than just the million companions we get. Because here's the thing, right? We get a metric shit ton of companions, especially compared to the first game. Like, we double the amount of companions we get. And so there's a lot of characters here. It's been a little bit since I played. And so for some of these side characters, it's just one of those things where it's like, I wanted them on the list because I feel like they do deserve to be recognized and that kind of thing. Especially when we have like Counselor Udina, the Council, that kind of stuff that are, you know, on it from the first game. But, you know, I kind of felt like I had to beef up the first game just because there were only 6 crewmates. Or squad members, I should say. So yeah, we're gonna start over here with Dr. Amanda Kensin, who she's a DLC character. You think that, oh, I gotta save her. Admiral Hackett needs some help, that kind of thing. You're doing him a favor. Only to be betrayed by her, find out she's been brainwashed, and she is trying to bring the Reapers about quicker. It was a really good DLC. I'm not gonna say I didn't see the betrayal coming, but like, it was pretty solid. And so I think she gets a C tier. She was an okay bad guy. I think that the brainwashing was super creepy, that kind of thing. I think the only reason I throw it down to a C tier is just the fact that I saw it coming. But I think that they kind of, I don't know. I think they wanted you to feel as though something was a little off. So I think she was a perfectly serviceable bad guy. All right, and then we're going to hop over to Arya. Arya, there's not much to be said about her. She's a badass. She runs Omega. Rule number 1, don't fuck with Arya. So, I think, in my personal opinion, that's good enough to give her that solid C tier. I feel like we didn't get a bunch to do with her, but the little bit that we did get to do with her, she was always in control. She was like super commanding. And she's just cool character concept, Next we hop over to, I don't know if we want to call him the Collector General or like the head collector. But yeah, we hop over to them. And it's really hard because I feel like the collectors are a really cool bad guy because they're like super creepy and that kind of thing. You're kind of sitting here and they're like a little bit unnerving because they're like these bug people and they're kidnapping people, and you find out that they're like doing these experiments on them and like liquefying them to goo and that kind of stuff to build their own human reaper. And so I feel like the collectors are a cool bad guy, but they just don't have that face like Saren was, like they don't have that badass speech like Sovreign does, And so I think I'm going to put them in D tier. Because honestly, I think even Matriarch Benezia was a cooler bad guy than them. Because like they were super creepy, they were super unnerving and that kind of thing, but they were just a really good background bad guy. Like you had a couple of conflicts with them. They built up the fact that like, oh, they killed you and that kind of stuff. But like I feel like if you look for a face of the bad guys in Mass Effect 2, it's really hard to find. There's not really a face. And so I feel like that drops them for me. Now we hop over to Edie. And I think she was a really cool addition. It was nice kind of having somebody other than like Joker or that who would like call over the comms and talk to you. Like I think it was really cool starting to get that hint of her character dynamic with Joker, because like you have that give and that take, him having to unshackle her to save everybody and that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Like she had some fun stuff to do, but I wouldn't say she was like a phenomenal character. So I think throw her into B tier for now. And then we got Grunt. I think Grunt he's a really good version of Wrex from the first game. He's like very equal to Wrex from the first game, where he's kind of just this like angry Krogan who he's put in there to kind of like explain to you the rituals that go on with Krogan and how they can like get this Krogan bloodlust and that kind of thing. And so he teaches you a little bit about the Krogan, but I think in general, like even just with like appearance, he is so different that I don't think even just the fact that he's like a purebred Krogan, he's tank born, that kind of thing, I don't think it makes his character any better. So I think he hops in where Wrex was last time, and I think we put him in D tier. Because I think he's just a perfectly okay companion. And then we hit our first S tier. Guys, those of you who watched the playthrough, I love Jack. I think she's great. She's an incredibly complex character, even just in the second game. Like, she's the character that I always end up romancing in these games. And so I I do have a bias towards her. But I swear, like, it's been so long since I played that I didn't think she's going to be S tier in this game because I thought that you didn't see fully her character arc until the third game. Like, you get a lot of the payoffs in the third game. But, like, you honestly see a lot from her in the second game. Like, she opens up, she breaks down in front of you, she shows you weakness and that kind of thing. And so I think she is deserving of S tier. She's just an incredibly complex, well-written character. And so she is the first S tier of Mass Effect 2's characters. And then we go to the opposite side where we hit Jacob. And I think Jacob has an incredibly great loyalty mission, but I just don't think he is a great character. Like, he very much kind of feels like Liara from the first game, where he's just a yes man. He's always like, oh, Shepard's so cool. He just like he's kind of a boot kisser. He's like always just, he worships the ground the Shepard walks on. He thinks the Shepard's the coolest thing. He's just such a yes man character. And it's hard because, you know what? I was going to put him in F tier, but I think he's better than that just because of his loyalty mission. His loyalty mission is so fucked up that I think he's at least deserving of D tier. So next we hop over to Kasumi, a character that I have never had any experience with because I never had the DLC before. And so this was my very first time with her. I thought her loyalty mission was awesome. I thought she was a really cool character. My only negative or downside about her would just be the fact that because she is a DLC character, it felt like there wasn't as much with her. Like, it just felt like she wasn't as much a part of the team, which isn't really, I feel like, a fair criticism because she is a DLC character. She was tacked on afterwards and that kind of thing. And so I feel like I should cut her some slack for that. Especially when you consider her moveset's super cool, like the character concept really cool, and her loyalty mission is awesome. And so I was thinking about B tier, but honestly, I think all of those things add up to an A tier. And then we hop over to our assistant, Kelly, who is constantly telling us that we have a new email. And that's really incredibly annoying. But on the other hand, I really appreciate the fact that she'll sit there and be like, Grunt would like to speak to you. Garrus would like to speak to you. Like she alerts you when loyalty missions become available. She's a crew member, so she doesn't have a bunch that she gets to do. So I think she pops over to D tier. Because it's hard. I'm bouncing back and forth between C and D tier because I think it's unfortunate because she is that assistant character, so it's really annoying every time you walk by her hearing, you have an unread email at your terminal or that kind of thing. But on the other hand, like, she does give you the kind of convenient, like, oh, hey, so-and-so would like to speak to you. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave her in D tier for now. Who knows? We'll come back, see where exactly we're feeling. But, yeah, and then we're going to hop over to, we're just kind of keeping that crewmate train rolling with, Kenneth and Gabby, who are characters that I would have missed had it not been for somebody in the chat telling me before I was about to beat the game. Like, literally, I had said at the beginning of the stream, I am going to stay up until I beat this game. And then somebody in chat pops up and is like, but have you talked to these characters yet? Oh, have you gotten the cutscene with them yet? And I was just like, all right, let's do it. Like, no, I haven't done it. Let's go talk to them. And so I went and I did it. And it was pretty good. They're funny characters. Their cutscene was really endearing, especially the fact that poor Kenneth, because I'm a renegade, I straight up bullied him out of his credits because Gabby is telling him, she's like, oh, after the fact, oh, he was joking, like you didn't have to purposefully lose to him because he's your commander. Because as a renegade, you just like straight up bully him into being like, oh yeah, also I'm your commander, so remember that when we're playing poker. And so he just like purposefully loses to you. And so it's really endearing, it's really funny. And it's just it's one of those like little hidden ones that had somebody in chat not told me about, I totally would have missed it. But I think it's pretty cool. I think they're great. And so I think their dynamic together is really fun. It's hard because I'm bouncing back and forth between B and C tier because I think that they're at the top of C tier, but um I don't think that they are quite B tier. It's hard. Because it's just one of those that it's unfortunate because they are crew members. I feel like they do have like a bit more limited dialogue and that kind of stuff. Like you don't have as many opportunities to interact with them. So I'm gonna put them a C tier just because I think they're cool. I do think they're cooler than Kelly and that kind of thing. But yeah, we'll see. I can't remember if they returned for the third game, if I'm being 100% honest. All right, then we hit Legion, who he's one of those that what he represents, like the fact that there are good Geth out there, and that the fact that there are groups of Geth, like there's more than just the bad guys that we fought, is such an interesting concept. And like he's such a cool character design. He's such an interesting character, like especially opposite Tali. And I was originally sitting here and I was like, oh, I think he's going to be rated lower. But like saying all of those things, I do think I'm going to throw him up into a B tier because I do think he is a pretty cool character. I enjoy him a lot. Miranda, she's going to be Mass Effect 2's first F tier. I hate Miranda. Anybody who watched my playthrough knows I dislike her. And maybe it's just because I hate that she's so gung-ho Cerberus. And I get why she is. Like they saved her, they raised her, that kind of thing. But on the other hand, especially playing through as a renegade, you just are always butting heads with her. Like, you and her as a renegade just do not get along. That, and you guys know, I'm Jack all the way. And so, because of that, I just feel like I really bounce off Miranda, which is so unfortunate because I do think, like, the voice acting and the person that got to do her stuff is super awesome. I love Chuck. I love that actress. I love the work she's done. I just don't like this character. And so, I'm throwing her in F tier. And now we hop over to Mordin, who is such an incredibly complex character who has an amazing loyalty mission. He's got such a sad backstory that I think it's only fair that he joins everybody up in S tier. Like, he's a great character. And then we hit the VI from Project Overlord. I'm kind of putting him as a bad guy for a DLC, even though he is the bad guy for the DLC, but he's also not the bad guy for the DLC. And those of you who know and have seen the DLC, you watch the videos, you know what I'm talking about. Like, he is quote unquote the bad guy, but he is definitely not the bad guy of that DLC. But he's such a cool character, and the twist at the end is so fucked up that, like, honestly, the DLC, it's so strong for most of it, but there are like a couple weak points. And so I think I'm going to put him at A tier because, like, I love the DLC because of the ending, but I felt like the beginning dragged on just a little too much. There was some weirdness that happened. And so I think that it takes away just enough to where I don't think it's S tier. But I do think it was really, really damn good. So now we hit Samara. And Samara was a character that when I was younger, I thought she was so cool because I thought all of the biotic characters were so cool. Like that's why this one this game felt so cool to me because like so many characters had biotics and she was just like the idea of this, she's kind of this like renegade cop who, is like authorized to like hunt down and kill people and people are scared of the Justicars because like their version of justice is like so strong and intense and she's just like such a cool character. And I felt like hopping into this one, she was a bit underwhelming from what I remembered, but I do still think she's an incredibly cool character. And, I joke about it a lot during the streams and during the playthrough, but, she perpetuates the fact that Mass Effect 2 is a family drama simulator. Like, everybody's loyalty mission has to do with family drama. And, she perpetuates that. So I think we throw her up there. I think she's B tier. I don't think she's quite as cool and badass as I remember. But she's still good enough to, like, be a pretty awesome squad member. And I still like her a lot. And then we hit the Shadow Broker, who... super awesome character design. Like, you show up and we've heard so much about the Shadow Broker. They're this ultra intelligent, they have this spy agency, that kind of thing. They're getting knowledge from everywhere. And we like hear so much about them, and then you show up and it's this huge hulking species behind this desk. And it's just like it's such a surprise and it's so cool that I think like even just with the limited bit of time with him, I do think he is like really awesome. I think his boss fight a little weak, but I think that's just boss fights in general. I don't think that there's a bunch of really well done boss fights in this. So I kind of think just like the lack of seeing him, like, especially like if you take away the Shadow Broker DLC, it's just like you hear little bits. You hear the Shadow Broker mentioned in the first game and the second game, but like this DLC really puts like a front facing camera to him. And I feel like he was as good as you needed for a DLC villain, especially when like he he is a villain, but he's not a villain. Like, dude just kind of deals information, and he just so happened to, be on the wrong side of Shepard. And so, we fuck his shit up. And I think he's a perfectly serviceable villain. So I think C tier is a perfectly fine spot for him. Like, you don't get a bunch of interaction with him, but he's cool, he's different, he surprises you. So he's definitely not D or F tier. And then we got Thane Krios, another one of those characters that I remember being so young and thinking they were the coolest characters ever. It was just one of those where it's like he's this assassin and like I said it during the playthrough in the streams, and he gets the coolest cutscenes in Mass Effect 2. Like any cutscene for him is so awesome. He disappears. He's this assassin that is just so cool. But I feel like beyond that, like his loyalty mission is like just perfectly passable. I think that he's a really cool character, and like it's been a very long time since I played 3. I'm expecting him to go higher up, but for now, it really hurts me to say I got to put him in B tier with Samara. Like these two characters when I was younger were both S tier, but like coming back looking at I think specifically their loyalty missions just aren't the greatest. And so I do think that that takes away from the character a little bit because you have so many characters with such cool loyalty missions. Like Mordin's loyalty mission is absolutely amazing. Tali's loyalty mission, absolutely amazing. Even like Jacob's loyalty mission is just like super cool. And so I don't know if I'd say cool. It's super fucked up. And so like because of that, you're just like, damn, they went there. And so I think that their loyalty missions kind of drag them down. And not just gently, they drag them down like a decent bit. All right, and now we hit a character who feels like a villain, but they portray him as though you're not sure. Like he kind of is a villain, he's kind of not a villain. But the Illusive man, no matter if he's a villain or not a villain, he's a cool character. He's a really good character. And all of his stuff is so iconic. Like, whenever you, like, just see him sitting there looking, and you just get the back of the character, it's just so cool and so iconic that I feel like he's such a smart character. And with how little we get from, like, actually interacting with him, minus just, like, story stuff, you know, like, the way he just, like, is so careless about informing Shepard of these dangerous situations. And he's just like, well, I knew you could get out of it, so why did I need to tell you that it was a trap and this and that? He's just, like, such a cool character that it's like, you love to hate him. And not in the way that it's like, with Miranda's character, you just hate her character. Like, he's just such a smart, conniving little shit that you just, you can't help but respect the Illusive Man. And so now we hop over here to a character that I added purely for comedy, but a character that dies within, like, the first hour of the game. Wilson. I think his only redeeming fact is the fact that he tries to kill Miranda at the very beginning of the game, and kind of, he tells you where this game is going. He's like, hey, trust me, by the end of it, you're going to want her dead. And so, I think, hilariously enough, like, he's this sleazeball, slimy character, but the fact that he tries to kill Miranda and kind of, like, it's just like a foreshadowing of things to come, I do think puts him in D tier. Do I think he's, like, at the top of D tier? No. He's barely at the top of F tier, but I think that, partially for comedy reasons, it's hilarious to put him in D tier above, you know, these other 4 main characters that we have. And then we hit the final character. We have Zaid, who is badass mercenary, who, honestly, he fucking goes there. Like, he is one of the few characters that it's like, oh yeah, this character is straight up renegade. Like, stuff that he says, things that he does in cutscenes, it's like, damn, this character, he's not afraid to go there. I think the only thing that pulls back from him is the fact that, you know, yes, he is a DLC character. He was added on later, so he doesn't have a bunch of these, like, integrated things, you know, like, you're not seeing him in main story cutscenes, you know, like, really adding to, like, the War Council and that kind of stuff. But I do think he's still an awesome character, and so I think he gets to go up to B tier. And yeah, that's where I think he gets to go. So yeah, this is the tier list. Let me know what you guys thought about it. If you liked it, if you agree with it, where would you have put characters? Because here's the thing, is this is a very fluid list. For the most part, you know, as you saw, some characters are going to be moving between games. And so we have one more game to really solidify where characters go. And so, you know, maybe characters are going to stay in S tier. Maybe they fall from S tier. Maybe, you know, characters get to move up because they have really cool stuff that I don't remember from the 3rd game, because it's been a very long time since I played it. However, I'm excited to play it and get to come back and do the 3rd and final Mass Effect Trilogy character tier list. I'm curious to see how many characters end up being added. We added a good bit, you know. I'm pretty sure when I went through and I counted, it was 20 characters that were added from the Mass Effect 2 characters. But yeah, let me know what you think, what characters you would have moved around. And that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next video. But until then, I hope you're doing awesome and you have a great day. Goodbye. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate if you liked, commented, subscribed, followed, all the things on all the platforms. This video was recorded on twitch.tv/Glinting Ruffian, and I would love to see you there live. If you can't make it over to watch live, then you can watch the videos later on YouTube over at the Glinting Ruffian channel. If that's not enough content for you, my wife makes highlights of the videos and puts them on TikTok at Glinting Ruffian. And last but not least, I also tweet my thoughts on video game stuff on Twitter, also at Glinting Ruffian. Once again, I appreciate you watching this video. It truly does mean a lot to me, and I hope to see you in the next video.